Ah, well, the time is now. The clock has struck noon Colorado time. Thank you, one and all, for finding a window of time to join us while we take part in this experience of growth and insight into Naropa University. I like to think of today's event as a Naropa buffet. We'll have a chance to hear from like some Naropa community members, or appetizer, expand our understanding through a sample class, the main course, and join a broad array of breakout rooms after this session, kind of like our dessert. But first, just a little bit about our community. Founded in 1974 by Chogyam Trungpa Rinpoche, the first accredited university to bring contemplative education to the West. At Naropa, mindfulness practice is truly at the center of everything that we do. We really believe that changing the world starts from within. And whether you're going for a master's, your bachelor's, a certificate program, or anything in between, academic life at Naropa is complemented by self-reflection and learning to be mindful. One aspect of what we call contemplative practice that is near and dear to our hearts is the Naropa bow. Now, it represents something unique to every community member, but here's what it means to me. For me, it's a real moment of mindfulness. It's how many events, lectures, workshops, tours start and end with here at Naropa. Now, with many versions of contemplative practice, there's not only one right answer, one right practice. So as we go through this, I invite you to take part with me, but know that it's just my version of this Naropa bow. Maybe when you come over to Naropa, you can work to develop and find some value in some different practices. But for now, I'll kind of verbalize the practice that I go through. For me, I always start by closing my eyes, trying to put my focus a little bit back on my breath and deepen that breath. Try to be a little bit more aware of my feet as I make that connection to the ground. Straighten up my spine and find a little bit more awareness in my posture. After that preparation, I kind of have a 3-step process for my Naropa bow. For me, first is a mental check-in. I've learned I'm the type of brain that if I get a few things stacked up on my plate, I can feel some stress and feelings of being overwhelmed build up. So just try to take a moment to be more aware of that mental state. And my second stage is more of a physical check-in. For me, if I feel that stress or those feelings of being overwhelmed build up, I feel that a little bit more in my forehead, my lower back, and try to be more aware of how that physical sensation feels. And then my third step is more of a transitionary practice. After being a little bit more aware of my current mental state, as well as my physical impacts, how can I use that awareness and transition into the next part of my day with hopefully a little bit more center and a little bit more focus? When I feel centered, when I feel ready, a simple bow at the waist. For some, maybe your first Naropa bow might be complete. For others, maybe your 100th or 1,000th. But with that, experience in Naropa is truly underway. I spoke a bit before about Chogyam Trungpa Rinpoche, our founder and leader of yesteryear. But before we embark upon our journey today, let's take a moment to gain some insight into how Naropa came to be. And to do that, we'll take just a moment to learn a bit more about our founder. Born in Tibet in 1940, Chogyam Trungpa led a group across the Himalayas to India after China entered Tibet. He was just 19 then. Never fails to add some perspective to me when I think of that. Well, in India, he taught at a school started by the Dalai Lama before attending Oxford University in England. Then, in the 1970s, Chogyam Trungpa began giving seminars and lectures at the University of Colorado. 1974 is when Naropa's story truly begins, as Trungpa and his students founded the Naropa Institute, exclusively a summer program at the time. The program was expected to draw 200, maybe 300 students, but 1,600 students attended that very first summer session. And by the 1980s, Naropa became a fully accredited institution of higher learning. And we've been on the forefront of contemplative education since. Just one of those professors making that possible is Dr. Ian Wickramasakura, or Dr. Ian. Dr. Wickramasakura has a lifelong fascination with topics such as affective neuroscience, biofeedback, empathy, hypnosis, lucid dreaming, among many others. And for me, just that list gets my thoughts churning and quite a thought-provoking list of interests. Now, Dr. Ian's research into these areas has won him a number of awards, such as the Clark L. Hull Award for Scientific Excellence in Hypnosis and the Milton H. Erickson Award for Scientific Excellence in Clinical Hypnosis. Dr. Ian also won the Distinguished Early Career Contributions to Hypnosis Award from the American Psychological Association, as well as the American Society of Clinical Hypnosis. And that's just to name a few of those accolades. He was confirmed to be a fellow of the American Psychological Association in 2018. Now, less than 5% of psychologists hold this honor for outstanding and unusual contributions to the science and practice of psychology, and even fewer of them are people of color. When he isn't at work or reading an obscure tome of ancient lore, Dr. Ian enjoys biking, hiking, making music, meditating, and running. Now today, Dr. Ian will take us through our main course, that sample class. But just a bit of background about what Dr. Ian will be presenting today. We'll be focusing on a class called Hypnosis and Meditation in Counseling. This lecture explores emerging contexts for professional spiritual care that address climate change, systemic inequity, and the reemergence of entheogenic healing practices. We'll explore hypnosis and meditation, both practices that can learn to use and help with anxiety, depression, and a wide variety of medical problems that counseling can address. Now, Dr. Ian will briefly review the evidence of how both practices can help people learn to improve their sense of well-being, as well as physical problems by learning to practice hypnosis and meditation in counseling. Dr. Ian will also discuss his current research questions about these practices, as well as give us some simple and relaxing demonstrations on how they all work. Thank you very much for your guidance today, Doctor.
Oh, it's so nice to be here with everyone. Thank you. Oh, look, already 50 people. My goodness. Thank you so much for taking time to be with us here at Naropa. That was really a very generous introduction. Thank you so much. I think probably my favorite of all my accomplishments was to be a fellow of the American Psychological Association, because I remember when I was going after my doctorate, and I was very interested in hypnosis research and meditation research and psychedelics research. I remember having an advisor tell me, oh, you'll never get anywhere if you keep going after such weird things. And look, here I am. I made a fellow, and even the person who told me is not a fellow. So I don't know. I think I'm a dramatic example of what happens when you follow your weird dreams. But at any rate, thank you for that introduction, Peter. It was very kind, and great energy you have. Really wonderful. So today, for my sample class, I really wanted to go over meditation and hypnosis and how that can be used in counseling. And I've kind of patterned my talk after 3 questions, three simple questions. First of all, what are they? What is meditation? What is hypnosis? Secondarily, what are they good for? And then finally, can you have a personal demonstration? So the answer is yes. Yes, there will be one where we'll demonstrate both meditation and hypnosis. So those are the three areas we're really be going into. First of all, let me say something about the nature of these three things. I'm sorry, these are two things, meditation and hypnosis, and then really talk about some of the science and research about them. Even along the way, I'll show you some neuroimaging, just in case anyone feels like you have to believe in these things. Actually, you don't. You just need to do them for them to work. And then last, we'll do a nice 10, 15-minute demonstration of meditation, hypnosis. So yeah, so Peter is saying here, anybody has any questions, please put them in the Q&A thing. I think we have an allotted time for questions and answers around 12:50 or something like that. But I'm a fairly informal person, so maybe even I'll take some before. But anyway, let's start with that first question. What are meditation? What is hypnosis? Well, my guess is that probably a fair number of people who are here today have already a practice of meditation. If you arrive at a Naropa University, probably you already have some interest in that. And probably even some, I would imagine, have had some experiences with hypnosis, so probably not as many. But I'm just going to give you kind of an overview of what these things are from a scientific and also a kind of cultural and personal perspective, as indeed I've been a practicing Tibetan Buddhist in Bunpo for, I guess we're getting older, I guess about 35 years now. So, but first let's start with what is meditation. So meditation is really a very, very ancient tradition. And if you really go back into the kind of history of its spreading, there's quite a number of religions and spiritual traditions and even philosophical traditions invented forms of meditation, and more recently psychological ones. But this stuff goes way back. Like you can even find like a cave art in like the Tinhuang caves in Tibet that suggests that meditation practices were being studied in the Dzogchen tradition many thousands of years ago. So how old, no one really know. In the Bunpo tradition, they say meditation techniques were taught even 18,000 years ago. Who know at this point? But the point is, for sure, more than 1,000 years old, because even we have manuscripts that are 1,200 years old of meditation. And it's important to say here that actually, although generally in the United States, we tend to think of meditation as being like this one thing, like I am a meditating. And in reality, meditation is not just one thing. There's supposedly, according to Nagarjuna, a very famous Buddhist teacher, there may be as many as 84,000 different types of meditation. How about that? 84,000. And however, the predominantly practiced form of meditation, particularly in the United States, is undoubtedly mindfulness meditation. So even though there are many different forms of meditation, it's pretty easy to define what the kind of meditation is that most people learn in counseling and in medicine and so many different contexts. And I usually think of mindfulness meditation as being a form of open awareness. it's really practicing a form of allowing yourself to be fully in the moment and aware while you're open to basically anything that comes up, including many things that maybe seem silly, like thinking of strange songs that run through your mind involuntarily, or even jingles from commercials, and then coming back to being with your breathing. And when we practice meditation together, that is the form of meditation that we will practice today, which I guess is almost everyone here will have at least some familiarity, even if you don't have a practice. So it's really about being open and being aware. So when I say open, we're talking about being open to whatever it is you experience, and not particularly to judge what your experience is, even whether it feels like you're doing well or not well. There's really no need to judge. For that reason, I think actually you can't do it wrong is kind of one of the funny secrets of meditation practice. You're just doing what you do, and that will be enough. And maybe there will be some sense in which it will feel like you are progressing, but in essence, it's just being open to your experience, and then being aware. Particularly, usually we place the meditation, focus it on the breathing, and that's the way we'll teach today. So just sit comfortable, be with your breathing, enjoy. Even if you keep thinking 588 2 300, that's meditation, or at least it's yours. At any rate, so there's a little bit about what is meditation. We can revisit any questions people have about the other 83,999 forms of meditation besides mindfulness, but just bear that in mind. Now let's get to what is hypnosis. Now this is really a question that I think is very important, particularly before we practice hypnosis together, that we really talk about what hypnosis is, and also in particular what it is not. So I'm first going to begin with a definition that actually my father and many of my friends at the American Psychological Association crafted. I guess it's about maybe a little less than 20 years ago, in which they wrote that hypnosis is a procedure in which a health professional, and I should add competently trained health professional, suggests to another person that they can experience changes in sensation, perception, and memory, and body somatic experiences. So, oh, and also, I'm sorry, behavior. So hypnosis is really very much like a meditation in that it also has, I don't know, no one ever tried to catalog how many different forms of hypnosis, but I myself have studied well over many hundreds. So just as there are many, many forms of meditation, there are many, many, many forms of hypnosis. But across the spectrum of different hypnotic experiences, there are some things that people commonly experience. Generally speaking, and depends on what form of hypnosis you're using, most people will start to feel some experiences of kind of enhanced imagery, although that is not essential. Some people can experience hypnosis who have no mental imagery at all. It's not necessary for hypnosis. It tends to give people relaxation of the body, and it tends to do this very interesting thing. It tends to make normally involuntary mind-body processes more accessible and increase mind-body integration. We know that because a lot of the research that was done on how hypnosis affects the autonomic nervous system, it tends to allow people to modulate their sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system to increase the amount of relaxation. The sympathetic system is simply the stress system. Parasympathetic is more like the relaxation-based nervous system, though it's a bit of an overgeneralization, but mostly true. And a long time ago, people thought you couldn't modulate these things, but early hypnosis researchers showed, in fact, you can do so in a measurable way. Same thing is also true with all forms of mind-body techniques, like meditation as well, certainly. So let's see. So at any rate, my definition really talked about a person being able, through hypnosis, to be able to experience changes in sensations, perceptions, memories, and behaviors. So example of changing sensation would be our work in pain. I'm a health psychologist, and one of the things that I love to do is to help people who have chronic pain. Really, really enjoy, because I used to have pain myself. I used to have terrible, terrible chronic migraine headaches. And that's how I first learned hypnosis and meditation, was as a child. When I was 10 years old, I used to get 3 to 4 migraine headaches a week. And I found that just by putting myself in a kind of meditative state and just focusing on reducing all the stress, even if I couldn't get rid of the pain, I could calm down and be calmer with the pain, be mindful of it. But then also I learned with hypnosis that I could learn to imagine it shrinking. Imagine where my pain was in my forehead and just imagine it shrinking. And so that's a pretty powerful example of how hypnosis helps people in changing sensations and also perceptions. And we know that hypnosis, and actually a little bit, I'll show you a slide that shows you the science of how this works in terms of functional magnetic resonance imaging and positron emission tomography. But we know that these things, they really work for changing sensations and perceptions in the body, and also beliefs in the mind, our perceptions of the world. In a way that's really interesting, because it kind of tells us how different our experience of reality is than its underlying nature. I'll get to that in a second. But at any rate, you can definitely work and help people with chronic pain. And we'll discuss a little bit more of that data in a second, and I'll show you some of it. And so you can also change a person's and help people work with their memories, in particular traumatic memories. Right? As we know these days, after a long period of actually psychiatry and psychology sort of resisting work on helping people with trauma for reasons we needn't go into here, we're a lot more into it these days, even besides hypnosis. Certainly people like to use psychedelics in particular to help people process traumatic memories. But in the years where we couldn't do this with psychedelics, then some of us turned to hypnosis. And indeed, the very first psychedelic researchers often paired psychedelics, like Margaret Brenman is a good example of that. Back at the Menninger Institute, used to pair LSD at 25 with hypnosis in the treatment of combat PTSD. So you can help people with traumatic memories, or even people who are just kind of stuck into memories of depression or anger and anxiety. And so we can alter people's, help people to learn how to alter their own memories, and really not so much the memories, but the focus on the memories. Because you'll keep thinking you're very depressed, then all you remember is depression. You'll keep thinking anxious, then all you remember is anxiety. We can help people to really change the way that they experience their sense of self. Like, am I a person who's depressed? Have I always been depressed? And will I be depressed in the future? That is one of the, they sometimes call the cognitive triad of depression and anxiety. When you think your life sucks now, it sucked in the past, and it's going to suck in the future. And so with hypnosis and also with meditation, we can really challenge people's beliefs about their nature of memory and point out the good things that did happen. And we could get into some gratitude for, yeah, maybe I didn't get everything I wanted out of this life, but on the other hand, I do have these wonderful people in my life, and I'm very grateful for them. Or even just, it's amazing. I somehow am alive and I'm in a body that can grow and I have a heart and a mind that can grow. So getting people back into gratitude can dramatically change the way they relate to the memory in a way that ends the cycle and struggles with depression, at least in problematic ways. And also we can help people to change behaviors. So what this means is, like, if you want to quit smoking or you have trouble with other substance abuse issues, you can use hypnosis to really reduce the cravings that come up. We'll talk a little bit about that literature again in the future, in a few moments. And there are other behaviors we can change too, like we can help people to do anything they like to do and get more fun out of it. Like, I have ran 3 full marathons completely in trance. It was fantastic. I did not win any of those 3 marathons or the, I don't know, 20 or so half marathons I ran. But some people think you're, wow, it must be like a torture running 26.2 miles. But I was totally blissed out because I used a hypnosis to get into runner's high. And that is a very fun indeed. Just been, now I said I run very slow. I'm what they call a Clydesdale runner. I'm big, tall guy, and I run, like 12.5-minute miles. So it took like 5.5 hours each time I ran a marathon. But I loved every moment of it. It just seemed like every mile going by was just pleasant and blissful. At any rate, now let's talk a little bit more, I guess we already have, about what you can do with these things. There tend to be 2 main areas where hypnosis is and meditation are very, very helpful in counseling. The first is what we would call like for hypnosis, more for your mind, your heart and your mind. So as I mentioned, it's very good for depression, anger, and anxiety kind of issues. We know, according to a lot of meta-analyses of many, many studies, particularly some done by my good friend and colleague, Guy Montgomery, that about 70 to 75% of the time, people getting training in hypnosis and the related studies in meditation show about the same results, that about 70 to 75% of the time, people that have meditation or hypnosis added to their normal course of therapy do get better results than when, in fact, a normal psychotherapy is used. So this is actually saying that people get more benefit out of counseling and psychology about 70 to 75% of the time. And it's the difference is actually quite significant. And in general, it tends to also help the results of counseling and psychotherapy last longer, probably because I think anytime you add a mind-body component to any form of counseling, it makes it work better. But the general pattern of results is that about 70 to 75% of the time for either meditation or hypnosis, that we'll see a better result when people had used these techniques. So the other kind of big heap of, studies looking into hypnosis and meditation and counseling are in the area of medicine. So we know in particular a lot of this because of we've had actually over 200 years of research on the uses of hypnosis in medicine, even from the earliest times of before the word psychology existed. Actually, in 1819, there was a Goan Portuguese priest who wrote a book on hypnosis. And a lot of the techniques we use today are actually come from that book. But so we had about 200 years in that, and most of the time, these techniques were used in medicine. So I already mentioned myself and earlier that hypnosis is wonderful, and again, works about 70 to 75% of the time to help people with various forms of chronic or acute pain. So chronic pain, that's like you got a headaches, that keep coming. Acute pain, that is like when you're doing a surgery. And that's one of the things that I have done actually, is I've not only myself, I've had procedures where I used hypnosis for myself, even one just fairly recently, but also can be used in all forms of surgery. One of the things that I used to do in the past was I used to work at a hospital, and I used to help anesthesiologists, in particular with patients either that were allergic to anesthesia. There's a small percentage of people who actually could die of anesthesia because of sort of allergic reactions and unstable autonomic activities occur, like they stop breathing. That's a good reason not to use anesthesia. Or there's something about the procedure that actually requires the patient to remain awake. So I used to do a lot of neurosurgeries where people had to remain awake for the anesthesiologist or the neurosurgeon or the orthopedic surgeon to talk to the patient and report on different experiences they were having during the procedure. And same pattern of results. Basically, even with surgical pain, no trouble at all, really, for most people to tolerate it better, and for quite a few, more than 70% of people not have any problem with pain at all. And really just quite, particularly if we pair it with some other form of pharmacological agent. That sometimes we call this narco hypnosis. But at any rate, it can be used in medicine for managing acute and chronic pain, can be used to help for weight loss and smoking cessation, to manage problematic behaviors, to control your diabetes better, take your medications. You can use it to make exercise more enjoyable, like I did for running marathons. You can do anything you want, really. You want to alter any experience of yourself or the world to make it more interesting. You can learn to do this. And I think maybe that's an important thing to point out at this point. As a little bit, I want to begin a demonstration. A lot of times people have been told that like meditation is something you're taught. And unfortunately, maybe before you got here, you may have heard that hypnosis is something that's done to you. And that is really not the case. It's really funny. There are so many misconceptions about both meditation and hypnosis, but actually, both of them really are just kind of mental disciplines that you must learn. Neither meditation or hypnosis can be beamed into you. If you look into my eyes, then the hypnosis array, or there are no meditation or hypnosis rays. I kind of wish there were. That would be pretty awesome. But I have been doing this for over 40 years and no rays have appeared. And I have studied with many great masters of both Tibetan Bon and Buddhist lineages on the meditation side, and on the psychology and hypnosis side, all the best masters of the last 100, not 100 years, I'm not that old, but of the last, since I've been alive. I knew Milton Erickson and all these great teachers, but none of them ever produced rays. So how do these things work? You learned them. That's it. They're all completely under your control. You people cannot be made to do things in meditation or hypnosis experiences that you wouldn't do outside of them, outside of these experiences. These are all skills that you must learn. Um, the ability to experience either meditation or hypnosis is, and now this is probably going to surprise at least some of you, not related at all to suggestibility. And this actually surprises many people in psychology and medicine as well. So much so that people keep running the experiments. There's been well over 100 experiments showing that, in particular with hypnosis, that people who are gifted at it, and there are many, and I'm one of them. I have been my whole life. I'm what we would call a person with high hypnotic ability. I love it. But we're no more likely to be a suggestible person, and there really are people who are more suggestible than others. And if you go into their homes, you'll find 3 or 4 George Foreman grills and maybe some cubic zirconian rings. So there are people who are more suggestible, but they're no more likely to be good at hypnosis than a person who is a very hard-minded skeptic. It's really an ability that you have to learn how to use yourself. So unfortunately, it can't be beamed into you, despite the fact that people will keep saying that, and there are all kinds of Las Vegas crazy stage hypnotists who will say they have these master powers of suggestion, and it's totally BS. Do not believe anyone saying they have the master secrets of hypnosis is trying to make money. The real secrets of hypnosis and meditation are in you, and that's ability you had your whole life. It's really how you use your mind body discipline, how you use your mind body skills in a way that can help you with many things. So it's not related to suggestibility, schizophrenia, psychosis, any of these, also controversial words in my mind. Spiritual emergence is what I'd rather say, but it's not related to any of these things. In fact, it's actually pretty hard to use hypnosis with people who are in a psychotic state. It's not impossible if you have a good enough relationship, because while you're talking to them, then there may be several other voices, and it's very hard for them to listen to your instructions about how to experience the phenomena. It's also not related to low intelligence at all. Some people think if you're good at hypnosis or meditation, you must be dumb. It's actually not true. In fact, we know the research shows that hypnosis favors people who are high in verbal attention and who can follow what's being the instructions to experience. Because in the end, I will lead you into a nice experience in just a few moments here, a few minutes here. But you can either follow along with them or not. I think it's more fun to experience. But if you choose, like, oh, I don't want to do this, please don't do it. It's okay. You can maybe just watch me do it, and maybe that will be fun. I do it every time I lead it because it's really an ability. It's not something that's done to you. Instead, it's something you do for yourself. Just like you would do meditation to help yourself, you can do hypnosis to help yourself, or any form of relaxation, or I don't know, and make yourself a nice meal. You must also make. Okay, so let's see. What's anything else? You can't get stuck in either meditation or hypnosis. Every once in a while, someone worries because it's dumb movies. I have not seen many of these movies that make me a bit nuts to watch them, saying like people get stuck in meditation or hypnosis and then all these crazy things happen. No, it's your own gift, your own ability. You can control it. Anyone who's saying they're controlling you with either meditation or hypnosis is a liar. and I know, because even when I go to Las Vegas, I did go to a stage hypnosis show, and afterwards the stage hypnotist agrees to talk to me and a few of my scientific colleagues who actually he knew of us. He actually read the research, and he was telling us that he creates these expectancies to make money, and actually some of the subjects that he had on stage are paid. So sorry to blow the cover, but a lot of the Las Vegas stage hypnosis are paid people. It's actually been doing the demonstrations of hypnosis going back, actually even into the 17, not the 17, like the all the way back, yeah, like about 1784, they were doing demonstrations of animal magnetism, the earlier form of hypnosis. At any rate, so I think it's maybe enough to say about what it is. Hypnosis is something that favors, and also meditation, people with good verbal attention. And also, my own research shows that, in particular, hypnosis and meditation both favor people who are open to experience and have higher empathic disposition. That's been my own research of about, oh my gosh, I'm getting old, 30 some years I've been doing that research, showing a lot of people have replicated it over the years. I think I'm going to save my brain imagery of what hypnosis is until after we do the demonstration, because I just want to make sure that we do the demonstration, and then maybe as we get set up for Q&A, I'll show them there, just so that everyone can see that this is not something that's faked. It's something that you do and has real impact on the brain. Anyway, so now let's do the demonstration. And it's just going to be nice and simple. First, we'll begin with some mindfulness meditation. And then when we get into the experience of mindfulness, I'll invite you to say the following phrase: calm, relaxed, and free. And the idea is that, through relaxing a bit by meditating on your breathing, then you probably already feel calm, relaxed, and free. But idea of focusing on the words calm, relaxed, and free in the hypnotic way will probably deepen the experience for most of you, and also give you a way to get back to it more quickly in the future, should you choose to use it. All right, so that's what we're going to do. Maybe I'll show the slides later. Yeah, let's do practice now. It's a good practice. Talking about practice is good. Talking about science is good, but practicing is best. Okay, so here we go. First, we'll begin with mindfulness, and then we'll enter into the hypnotic experience through just saying the words calm, relaxed, and free. That's what we're doing. That's it. Just enjoy these two things: say calm, relaxed, and free, and I'm meditating. And like I said, nothing on the line here. If you don't want to practice, you can just watch me practice. And then that will be very interesting for you. I think personally, it's more fun to do, but it's your choice. You came here today, it's your choice. Maybe you just want to watch, and that would be totally fine. You do whatever you want to do. At any rate, let's take a moment as we begin to work with the mindfulness meditation. You can do it eyes open or eyes closed, and just sit comfortably. There's really only two instructions to mindfulness that are essential from a practice point of view, and that is sit comfortably, be with your breathing. Okay? So just take a moment and make sure you're sitting in a way that it feels good to you. Make sure if you have phone or something that might disturb you, then you can turn off or whatever you like. And you don't have to sit in any fancy way. You just sit comfortable. And as you've settled into a way it feels good to sit, I just, be with your breathing. No big deal. Just really allow yourself to feel and be with your breathing. No big deal. Eyes open or eyes closed, whichever you want. If your eyes are open, then just let them rest in a particular area of space. No big deal. And that's about it. Just being with your breathing and just relaxing with your breathing as much as you would like. Now, of course, you may hear other sounds, or maybe you remember a bill you have to pay or something you got to do next. Guess what? Who cares? Don't worry. You don't have to be laser-like attention on your breathing. But just relax with your breathing while all other experiences that might be going on kind of pass in and out of the mind. Just keep being with your breathing while all the other experiences are happening. And you can't really do it wrong. That's it, man. Just completely relax. Be with your breathing. No need to judge whether you're doing really well or terrible. Who cares? Just be with your breathing. So actually, I'm just going to stop talking for about 2 minutes and just enjoy being with your breathing. After 2 minutes, I talk again. Very good. Very good. Just by relaxing with your breathing, you'll find you can relax even more, even more. If your eyes are open, you transition into self-hypnosis. Why not just relax even more by letting your eyes close? Just let your eyes close if you want to follow along in the self-hypnosis. We're already much more focused on our experience through doing the mindfulness with our breathing. And so now I'm going to begin repeating three good healing words, and they're the words calm, the word relaxed, and the word free. And every time I say those words, I'd like you to repeat them either aloud or silently in your head along with me. And as you say them, I want you to remember and fully experience the meaning of that word. Because words are not just words. They stand for feelings and experiences that you have had in this life. When you say the word calm, you can feel, remember, and access the feeling of calm. When you say the word relax, you can remember how it feels to be relaxed. Probably you're already there a little bit, maybe even more. But as you say the word relaxed, you can relax even more. And when you say the word free, you can remember just feeling free, completely free of all worries and problems, just relaxing in the moment, not sticking to anything. So just repeat the good words along with me and say them in your own way, in a calm, relaxed, free way to yourself. And as you say the words, their power will grow. You can go deeper, deeper. Well, let's just do this for a few moments together. We'll repeat it about 9 times. Just see how deep you can go into the experience by saying the 3 good words. Calm, relax, and free. That's it. Calm, relax, free. Notice how as you say the words, your body has a way of wanting to respond to them, going deeper into calm, deeper into relax, deeper into free. Here we go. Relaxed and free, free, relaxed and free. And notice how everything can lighten up. Whole body can relax, more calm and serene. Who cares about anything in the moment we're in, relax. We do one more time and come back. Ordinary state of things. Relax and free. That's it. Deeper as you go. Relax and free. Free. One last time. Calm. Relax. Free. Very good. Very simple. Right? Just using your own heart and mind, deep and good feelings that could help you deal with many challenges and rise to the occasions of many good times as well. Okay, so now if your eyes have been closed, you can slowly open. No need to rush back. Might want to yawn, stretch. Back here in our Zoom room. And so good to share some things with you about meditation, hypnosis. I went over longer than I expect. I'm sorry. So maybe I should get to the questions. Let's see what questions arose. It's the first one says, which one came in first? So I should answer in order. Okay, first one, 1224. I also get migraines and have wanted to see if hypnosis would help. How would you recommend to start? Oh, that's a great question. Listening to hypnosis audios, learning to do self-hypnosis, or finding a practitioner to do a session with? Are there also classes in Naropa grad school program in hypnosis? All right, this is an excellent question. You should go to the website of the American Society of Clinical Hypnosis and find a person who live near you who has had training from either the American Society of Clinical Hypnosis or the Society for Clinical and Experimental Hypnosis. It's absolutely critical. Oh, look, thank you, Peter. Wonderful. Wonderful. That's where you can go. You can go there and then actually look for, there's a section that talks about find a provider. The reason I say it's important to get training from someone who's properly trained is we know that from research on hypnosis that it is very, very safe to use. However, that is in the context that the person has the right education, both in using hypnosis, but also within a discipline for treating pain. So if a person, there are some people who got their training from organizations of hypnosis that don't even require you to have a high school degree. If you're coming with a real mental health or physical health concern, the person treating you should not only be able to treat it with hypnosis, but also with other tools. So, it should be a doctor or counselor, psychologist. They should have other tools besides hypnosis. So that's why we know that it's safe when used and ethical when practiced by a person who has the proper training to use. It is true that honestly, some people with high hypnotic ability probably could train themselves by listening to CDs and things like that, like Bell Ruth Napperstack has some really nice ones. But if you have migraines or any chronic pain condition, this is more than likely integrated not just with a pain problem, but I have yet to meet a single person who just loves the way pain hurts. It feels so good. I mean, there are people who like pain, but that's acute pain, and it's called BDSM, and it's not chronic pain. Most people don't like, not even people in the BDSM community like chronic pain. It just takes anxiety and depression, makes more difficult and angry. So I would say do yourself a favor and find someone to really teach you both meditation and hypnosis. They're very, very good for helping. I am tempted to, no, I won't do it. I could show you some neuroimagery of how it works, but then I would easily take another 10 minutes and there are other questions. I'll tell you what, maybe we can send a follow-up email to anybody who wants to me at Naropa, and I will send you some of the images in the original paper from Science. Let's see. Next
I think we do have some time for maybe like one more question. I see that we have a bunch of good ones in there, but I think we do have time for one more, Doctor.
Okay, we'll do one more. And anyone who wrote question, please just send me email at iwikramasacra@naropa.edu and I will answer your question there too. So next one says, I don't know if this question is relevant to the sample course. Is there any training hypnosis in the low residency MTC program? Okay, so it's actually related to a part of the previous question I didn't answer. Yeah, thank you so much for putting my email in there. I'm happy to answer the rest that way. We do have a hypnosis class. generally teach it about once a year. And so we do have that, and that class is approved by the American Society for Clinical Hypnosis and SESH, and also Division 30 of APA, the American Psychological Association. So if you wanted to go to an external one, then yeah, you could go through the Colorado Society of Clinical Hypnosis. To be honest, I also teach there, but and that program is done through the Society for Clinical and Experimental Hypnosis. So go to the websites of the Society of Clinical and Experimental Hypnosis and the American Society of Clinical Hypnosis, which Peter put up, and you can get the training there, or you can get it. Those are usually online, but also you can get through the Colorado Society. We do about once a year. We haven't actually done since COVID times, but we're just about to get back into it. So anyway, so sorry I couldn't answer more. I have to admit, I'll talk forever, so I don't want to take up the rest of the session. Thank you for having me, for your attention. Please, anyone who has any question, just send to the email. I will talk your ear off or write your ear off, I guess, because I love these things. Thank you so much for having me, Peter.
Well, the appreciation is all coming from us. Thank you for your wisdom today. A big piece of appreciation for opening up that email too to get some more of those questions answered. So, never ending appreciation for you, Dr. Ian.
Oh, thank you.
Oh, of course. And now we transition just a little bit, going back to our buffet analogy. Now, I kind of like to think of this piece as our dessert portion. In the chat, we'll post a link to what we call the open session. And I'll also share my screen just for a little bit of insight into how this next section of the event is really going to work. So by pulling up this link, you'll find the open house session schedule. Now, the left-hand side of the screen is separated into some undergraduate sessions. Right hand of the screen separated into some graduate sessions. Some you'll see are joint undergrad and graduate. So now for the next couple hours, you'll find different increments of about 30-minute sessions. Here in Colorado, it's just about 1 p.m. So this is the very first session. If you see a session that might provide some value to you, clicking any of these links brings you right over to a Zoom room and you'll be able to hop on in. So feel free to look ahead, find any of these sessions that might interest you and take part. We've some financial aid, academic advising, a lot of different pieces to help you explore Naropa. And of course, if you want to take the journey, any prospective students out there, you can always reach out to us at admissions@naropa.edu and we can continue the journey. So once again, thank you to Dr. Ian. Thank you to our tech team behind the scenes. Most importantly, thanks to each and every one of you for finding just a little bit of time to connect with us today and explore Naropa. Hopefully the journey of Naropa and exploring this path forward might just be beginning, and we'll see the rest of you soon. For now, we'll go and close up this room, enjoy some of the open sessions, and have a lovely rest of your day.